Welcome back to Metropole Television. You are watching a Business AM, and thank you very much for making time to be with us this morning. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. This are your official sector trends. Now, technology has revolutionized the way companies conduct business by enabling small businesses to level the playing field with larger organizations. Smaller businesses use an array of tech, everything from servers to mobile devices, to develop competitive advantages in the economic marketplace. Joining us today to discuss how technology is changing businesses or the impact of technological change on our businesses is Sarge Blockmans, who is the Digital Transformation Director at African Elite Group, AEG Tech. Sarge, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Happy to have you around. Sarge, let's get directly into the conversation. You've been in this tech space for the longest time possible, which has really now reinvented itself over time. But Sarge, before we delve further into this, can you help us first understand who African Elite Group is before we get into the gist of the conversation this morning?
Yes, so African Elite Group is a technology company. Actually, the group has two activities. One is in public relations, one is in technology. So I'm the digital director for transformation in technology, and we do implementations of SaaS, cloud ERP implementations, as we call them, and robotic process automation. So that's the core of what we do. We are based here in Nairobi, and we have a focus on the East African market.
Fantastic. Sarge, let's therefore continue with this conversation therefore. Now, technology and the pandemic, Sarge, have played a big role when it comes to technology advancements, especially when it comes to this smaller business space, especially as from 2020 up to where we are right now in 2021. Sarge, could you talk to me about that? People say that the pandemic came in as good news, especially for players in your industry.
Yes, so you're right. I'm a bit of a veteran in this sector. I've been in Kenya for 20 years, and I've been doing ERP implementations before that. So what has changed is that we would typically engage with the customer to implement a enterprise resource planning software, and that would take us somewhere between 6 and 12 months, and we would have a whole team of consultants, 6, 7, 8, 9 consultants on site on the customer premise. Now, with the advent of COVID, the entire industry has had a boost.
Yes,
we've had availability of what we call cloud applications for a longer time, but the adoption rate was relatively low. Organizations were still looking for having that software running in their data center within their own premises. Now, with the restrictions that the pandemic has laid upon us all, and the fact that organizations are looking for more remote work, the proposition of cloud software, which means that you can actually use the capabilities of the software without having it in your own house. You use it, you buy it as a service through the internet. That has had a boost through the pandemic, of course, because now we can actually do these implementations without even meeting the customer, and that is literally speaking. So the pandemic has definitely given the whole sector a change and a boost for the adoption of cloud applications.
Fantastic, which therefore opens up to a big word that we're not even quite conversant with prior to 2020, cloud solutions. Sarge, is that where any other smaller business that really needs to run its business, I would say the 2021 way or this decade's way of doing business, they need to have some sort of cloud solutions? Is that what you're saying now?
Yes, correct. So the availability of the cloud solutions makes it possible for any given organizations, and I would say in particular smaller organizations, startup companies, but also organizations that have a longer history and that have a data center. They can grasp the opportunity of letting the the software vendor. In our case, that is a solution called SAP Business by Design. So SAP, which is one of the top tier ERP providers, they run those applications for you. So the only thing you need is a decent internet access. We as African Elite Group, we do the implementation for you. That can take somewhere between 2 and 4 months, and then the rest is done by the host, by the cloud vendor. And that means that you can focus on your own business. You don't have to worry about the servers, the data center. You don't have to go on site. You don't have to do the upgrades, and so forth and so forth. So it brings a lot of advantages.
So somebody who's listening to you this morning, especially when we're talking about the SaaS and ERP solutions that you can give this business, Saj, are we saying that the only thing that you do as a company is come in, learn my business, I will share that data with you, and then the only thing that you give me is solutions based on this data? Is that what we're saying? And how long does it take for you to fully learn my business and then start to give me this solution that I'm seeking for while I'm in business?
Correct. So we, of course, we have conversations about your requirements,
yes.
and it doesn't matter whether you're in manufacturing or in logistics or in retail. Once we understand those requirements, we map them with the embedded in those SaaS applications. We can, and then the rest data we make sure user get trained, and off you go. And as I mentioned, these implementations can take from a good 2 months to maybe 4 months maximum at very high speed, so that the organization can reap the benefits and the return of that investment very fast. So that's the world we work in now.
What I think one of the challenges that we keep on facing and running into, Saj, when it comes to how smaller businesses in the economy have been either slow or fast to adopting technology, is this the cost element that is associated to just the whole of moving business from an analog system to a digital system, Saj. So these cloud solutions, could you talk to me about them from a cost perspective? Because then indeed, if they're going to come in as a solution for these businesses, they also gotta be cost effective to this smaller business that is looking at cutting down these operational expenses and maximizing on their margins as well.
Correct, absolutely. So cost of ownership and return on investment are the keywords here. And I already mentioned that with cloud solutions, the vendor, the OEM, takes care of running the applications for you.
Yes.
That means that the savings are mainly in the area of not having to run a data center, not having to, I mean, you don't have the wizards, the IT wizards in your organization. You can hire your production people, you can hire your sales people, you don't have to worry about IT. Those IT experts, they now operate on the other side of the fence. They work for the solution vendors, they work for the application vendors, but as a customer, as a small and medium enterprise, for example, you have no expenses, because the hidden cost of software solutions has always been the servers, the data centers, the people that you need to hire and train and retrain and so forth. All of that has gone away. So you just have the users that actually run the business processes in those solutions for you, and the rest is done. So we've already done a couple of those business cases, and the returns on investment of a SaaS solution are much better than for any other mode of implementation, which could be on-premise or hybrid.
Yes. Well, is it possible for you to tell us this morning majority of the solutions that smaller businesses in the country are looking for, Saj, so that we can sort of predict a pattern of where we're going in the outlook?
Where we're going, I think we're just going to see more adoption. An interesting fact is that when you look at the Africa continent, and I'll just keep it there, is that in East Africa we're actually lagging slightly behind. The adoption is faster in West Africa than in South Africa, so we've got a bit of a catch-up mode. But I see a lot of more requests. I can tell you that when we the request of a company that's asking for a solution, the request of the availability of a SaaS version is there at 85% of. So most customers are now aware of the possibility, and we've come a long way. You see, one of the hindrances of adoption of cloud applications was, for example, challenges with network, but we've overcome there. There was maybe fear about security. I can tell you for a fact that your data is more secure in an SAP data center than in a data center that any of us can build here in Nairobi, for example. So there's a lot of a lot of good things coming, and I can see only more adoption of the solutions.
So, Saj, they normally say that for technology to work, majority of the times is driven by the needs of the customers and this business as such. But you say that 2020, the majority of our customers are looking for solutions that are online as opposed to solutions that are within these premises for these businesses. Is that why now we're seeing this uptick in the economy rising?
Absolutely, yes. So that comes together at the same time as we are looking for how can we work from home more efficiently. So yes, that is indeed the fact, and we can go further. I mean, there is when we asked about what's in store for the future, we also help customers with solutions like robotic process automation, for example, where we can even take the automation of the handling of data within cloud applications. We can take it up a notch by letting a software robot do that. So, as I said, we're at the beginning of an increase of the uptake of cloud applications, and I think we will see acceleration in the next 1-2 years. Simply because I think also the world has come to understand that this pandemic is not really going away anytime soon. That is the reality.
Yes. Saj, let's also understand then, but for any other smaller business that is listening to you this morning and wondering, what do I need to start with out of all these options that are getting thrown to me, are some of the cloud solutions that I could adopt for my smaller business? For a business that wants to migrate online, Saj, where should they begin in terms of adopting some of these cloud solutions that you're mentioning this morning?
Well, the propositions are out there, so that's when those organizations contact us. They will come to African Elite Group Tech, for example, and ask us to look at their requirements, and then what we typically do is understand the business they're in, the processes they want to automate, and then discuss with them how long it would take, and maybe other technologies that can help them. But it's a fairly simple process from the understanding of what's on the market through the availability of for your particular or for customers' particular sector, and the actual adoption. I mean, this can be done in not more than 6 months nowadays.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, Saj, that even as we talk about the availability of cloud solutions and actually migrating online with the possibilities that come for smaller businesses, there's an area that we always look at with a pinch of salt: security, therefore, of this data and solutions online. So when you look at these solutions that we are talking about this morning, what is the security aspect to it, Saj?
The security aspects have been taken care of. I mentioned it earlier. The investment that organizations need to do to secure their operation in an IT environment are quite hefty.
Yes.
And in the likes of SAP, for example, the way they can build their data centers and the securities that they can build in are much more effective than what we can do in our own data center. Because in the end, it's always a username and a password. It's always somebody who will access an application, and whether you do that from a web browser to an application that runs in your data center or that runs in a hosted environment and ideally in a cloud environment, the security measures are in place. So I always say that it's much harder for, and particularly for smaller and medium enterprises, to spend all that money to secure their online operations. Let the bigger vendors do it for you. It's you'll be in a safer place. Your data will be in a safer place.
Pretty much. Sarge, as we clear this conversation this morning, could you kindly give us an outlook, maybe in the next 5 years, on where this drive for cloud solutions will actually elevate the East African economy and the entire region's economy too, if indeed it's adopted at a high rate like we've seen since 2020 up to where we are right now?
Yes. 5 years now is a long term. So let's say in the next 2-3 years, because technology innovation is changing so fast. So there are a couple of things. So vendors like SAP, and that's the solution that we implement, they're also already embedding robotic process automation within the ERP application. I already mentioned that such solutions allow you to manage those processes by software bots and not by human beings. Now we already, I'm sure you already know about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Those technologies will now come in much faster and be part and parcel of that, for example, of that ERP proposition. So the automation will be automated. That is actually where we're going. And as I said, the speed at which the innovation is coming is high and can only accelerate. That's what I see.
Fantastic. Sarge Blockmans, Digital Transformation Director, AEG Tech. Thank you very much for taking your time this morning to speak to us here at Metropole Television, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, for those who want to talk to him directly, you do know exactly what to do. Write to us at Metropole TVKE across all your social media platforms. We shall write back to you on YouTube at Metropole TV Kenya, at Metropole TVKE across all those social media platforms. Again, my name is Simba Elijah Charles Kenya. We take a short break. Once we come back, let's investigate if indeed the cost of living will come down any time soon. Inflation is at 6.57%. Where next? Once we come back here on a Metropole Television.